Phone in as Hibs progress. We go marching on into the playoff room of the playoff round of the Conference League. That was easier to say in my head than it was in my mouth, obviously. Joe, I'm going to kick off with you tonight. What were your thoughts? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I mean, we've got to start a conversation with that wonder goal.
Yes.
I mean, I've been supporting Hibs all my life, longer than any year because of my age. That goal is the best ever goal I've seen Hibs score. It even beats Joe Baker's goal in 1961 in the semi-final of the Intercity Spheres Cup, as it was called in those days. What a goal! I mean, it reminded me a wee bit of the goal that the scored against the Dundee United boy scored at the weekend. That was also a wonder goal in the top corner.
The Kelly player, was it Brennan?
I should say, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bowie's was even better. What a goal!
I think he had the distance, but it was the way he sort of shrugs off the defender first, Joe, wasn't it? Like he just turns him, and what a strike!
To hold on to him past the end of this season, I think he's just phenomenal. And he gets better and better. And there's so much to his game, the way he holds off players, the way he lays off the ball for others. Oh, he's just fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
It was. Joe, your microphone's dropping in and out a wee bit. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring Chris in next and see if you can switch your device over. I'll bring Chris in to carry on the conversation on Kieran Bowie. What did you think of his performance overall, Chris?
I think I tweeted or something last night. Scotland's number 9, and I think basically now I think the jersey has to be his. I think you're looking at the level he's operating at, like in these qualifiers against good teams and good players, and he's bullying them. He's an absolute nuisance for every single team he's coming up against. Like I think you take the wonder goal aside, like he's just, as you see, his all round performance, his hold up play, his link up play, and his running power is just top notch. I think as everybody's kind of commented, like the last year, it's like we'd see the best of him this year now that he's fit. He's had a full pre-season. So I think we are seeing the best of him, and he's just an absolute menace for any defenders.
How does he match up to the expectations? Because he did have that sort of hype around him, didn't he? Like we think we knew that we'd got a good one with him, but is he, as good as expected? Is he better? Is he not quite there?
I think he's better than what I expected, to be honest. Because when he came in, it was like one of the ones that says, "Oh, he can play off the left-hand side and stuff." So I was kind of more expecting a bit of a trickier player, if I was being honest. I wasn't expecting he's got good feet, but I wasn't expecting the sheer physicality that he carries. Like he's a big boy, he's a big unit with good technical ability. So he's got a bit of everything about him. He's one of the ones. Like I always look at, and I always say, like Gary O'Connor for me was like the perfect striker. 6 foot plus, could run, could hit a ball, could take it in. Like, but I actually think Bowie, looking at Bowie, I probably see he's a level above that. Because he actually, like, if you always remember, Gary O'Connor was one that when they played him up front for a while on his own, and he just struggled. Struggled to head the ball and at points like hold it in. Whereas you wouldn't have that fear with Bowie. Bowie can do that. Like, and at points last night we were doing that because we were dropping into that sort of 5-4-1. And he was having to take the ball and hold it up and lay it off. So, like, for me, I think there's still more to come. I think we're seeing a good level now, but I just reckon as the season goes on, a bit more confidence, I think we'll see him move on another level, eh?
Aye, I think so as well. Joe, I'll come back to you because I cut you
You
short.
hear me okay now?
Yeah, he fine. What did you think of the performance overall, Joe, for the team last night?
I think the performance overall was pretty good. Can I make one quick comment though? Right at the very end, when Bowie got substituted with about a minute to go, you had a look at that Hibs team. The forward line is tiny. Take Bowie out of it. Okay, we can bring the backies up for set pieces, but the forward line is tiny, all of them. So I think Hibs need to bring in another centre forward because we're knackered if Bowie gets injured. There's not an obvious replacement. So we'll hope we bring in somebody big. That's my quick aside.
I think I think that's definitely like an area that we need to look at, isn't it? Because we do lose that physical presence as soon as Bowie goes off the pitch. Ian, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I'm just going to catch some YouTube comments first. So me said, evening all, Bowie is the best striker we've ever had. Delighted for him. Paul said, evening chaps. Ronnie said, hi bangers, great to see you all. Stevie said, evening all, what an absolute nerve shredder. The tension was unreal. What a night. Left Easter Road utterly drained, but such a high. Kieran Van Bowie is now better than Van Persie. Paul said that's what we were talking about, being very similar to the goal against us on Sunday. Mikey said that anyone else's nerves shredded to absolute bits. And Ronnie says not going to be many cobwebs around Easter Road this season. I think that's in reference to Bowie saying he shook the cobwebs off the top corner, didn't he, the net. Ian, what was your take on the game?
It's funny because I'm usually at the games. It's been really strange not being at that game, especially the atmosphere sounded fabulous. So my wife eventually stopped coming to the games with me. After my kids stopped coming, my wife stopped coming because we were up in the singing section in the stand, and she just couldn't stand it. But she was sitting beside me last night, and I thought it was fabulous. The fact that she saw the excitement that the game generated, and she was caught up with it. You know, both from me and she could hear the crowd. Even though we were in France, it was still like really loud because we were in the middle of nowhere. But it was fabulous. It was really, really exciting. I mean, tactically, I mean, we started the game yesterday to win the game, and these tactics worked. So we actually moved the ball very quickly. So Boyle and Bowie and Campbell all pinned them back, and they had Partisan making mistakes by pressing them at high speed. It was definitely the right decision, and it was clear that the Partisan had to come at us strongly, and I think David Gray hinted that beforehand in his press conference. But these are the right tactics. Even though it was a game we didn't actually have to win, we didn't have to win last night. But in the game that we had to win against Midtjylland, we actually sat in instead, and we let them come on to us. So I think that was a lesson learned from the Midtjylland game last night. You know, they Hibs set out to win and move the ball really quickly. As far as Smith's concerned, I've still not seen the first goal from behind the goals to see if the guy managed to bend his shot. But obviously Smith was really slow to move, so he was either unsighted or the guy really swerved it. And the one that they let go under his body, I mean, that's just pure timing. Goalkeepers can't just drop on the ball. You have to actually force yourself down onto the ground. It's a strange thing to have to do, but that's what they do. They have to force themselves down onto the ground, and I've never seen them do that before. Actually, funnily enough, the Bowie goal, I actually thought that he was what Chris was saying there, and the way he managed to turn him. I thought it was going to be a foul because of the way he turned him. So I thought it was a fabulous goal. I was really excited, but then I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to wait for VAR here because I thought he fouled him. And as soon as you saw the replay, you realise he didn't. I think the thing that got me again, what really clear, if you're not in the game and you're actually, and not everybody can obviously go to the game, but when you're not in the game and you're able to watch on the telly, you really see how Levitt runs the team. He literally runs it as a quarterback. And for some reason, David Gray's decided that Levitt's got to come off and put Manny on all the time. And Manny, when he comes on, he plays completely differently. So when he comes on, the way we play changes. So the way we play, the tactics that we're playing, they just change. So Manny moves around the field quickly, tries to win the ball, and then he dribbles. And it was also, I mean, obviously, the substitutes that we've got are tremendous. To be able to bring Nicky Cardinal is tremendous, and so by pressuring them so much, by attacking them, that kept them away, because we did look a bit shaky at times, and I think they had quite a few chances. Even though I agree they only had 2 shots on target, I still think, well, it's Smith's save that he tipped on at the post. That was fabulous. And if you weren't at the match, if you were watching on telly and there's no commentary, what you hear is you actually hear it hitting Smith's fingers before it then hits the post. And it's an amazing save. I think I really noticed was that it was obviously Bowie, as he said in his interview last night, he was on his 4th wind, and he was furious with Yuan when Yuan came on 5 minutes after. And I don't know if anybody else saw this, but he was yelling at Ewan to get up and close the goalkeeper down because Bowie was still doing it, although he was completely knackered. But Ewan wasn't. And that's something we've got to get sorted out. But it's just solid excitement. It was, it was absolutely draining, even though you're sitting in your couch with your wife watching the game, screaming at the telly. It was lovely. It was fabulous.
Good stuff. I watched the game again today. I had it on in the background while I was sort of working through spreadsheets with work, and I clocked that with Bowie shouting at Ewan. It was, I think, just right into extra time. Ewan's come on and his fresh legs, and Bowie's looking at him like, "Why are you not running?" And he just has a go. But I think to Ewan's credit, he kind of took the hint and pulled the finger out, and I thought he was good after that. Callum, we'll bring you in next. What were your thoughts on it all?
I think it was just a game that epitomised being a Hibs fan. Just every single emotion. I was there with my mum and dad and my oldest daughter, and my mum's not been for years, and it was like at the Hibs goals, like it was like watching my mum's reaction to watching my daughter going daft and celebrating and things, and for everything that's been said about Kieran Bowie as well. Like during the game, the more he was getting involved and the more cheers that were going up, she was like, "Dad, who's that?" And I was explaining Kieran Bowie. She was going last season, but didn't see much of him with his injury and things like that. So even like for her to kind of notice that he was an important player and stuff, and then like when he scored, she's like, "I told you he was going to do that." Like, aye, okay. But it was horrible on the nerves. And I think apart from the goalkeeper mistakes, we've also put ourselves under a lot of pressure because even when we got back into it, when they were down to 10 men, we were just giving the ball away quite easy at times. But I think that was the pressure we'd been put under. And a lot of the players, like guys like Josh Mulligan, Kieran Bowie, like even Rocky, like there was a mistake in the first half where Iredale put in a short pass and Rocky got back, won the ball, actually beat the man and got a solid clearance and stuff, and that kind of lifted the crowd. It's that the mentality and the character is unbelievable. We didn't help ourselves at times, obviously, but it was a night to remember, and it's one of them where you can say I was there when that goal went in, because it's been like retweeted by European accounts and stuff like that, and it's kind of gone viral, as I say. But to say you were there, and for all Michael Stewart's a fan, like his commentary on it last night was amazing. Like what a goal, what a finish, what a player, because he's been rooting for him to get obviously to be kind of Scotland's number 9. So I think, and to be fair again with David Gray, his interview at the end, he's very quick to sort of mention that we did get beat 3-1 in 90 minutes, and there's things we can learn from and stuff like that. But it's going to be a huge game next week. I always like the idea of going away first and sort of taking that disadvantage, because obviously what happened in Belgrade last week really went in our favour. Whereas when you've got that home leg, there's a bit more pressure on you to do something big before you then go into a more difficult venue. But overall, it was just what a hell of a night.
Where does it rank in terms of European nights that you've had at Easter Road?
Oh, I mean, I've been watching those for 30 odd years. I've got kind of brief memories of Athens, but I think it's got to be up there. And I appreciate, well, people will shoot us down because it's no the European proper. It's still a qualifying round, but these are the nights where, and as you guys are talking about extra time about how do you take advantage of like bigger attendances and bigger fan interest, and we're talking about record shirt sales and all that. Like it can only be good for the club going forward. And assuming we've got the right people in place, which I believe we have. There was an interview with the chief exec. He didn't say too much, which is fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like to use the word passion quite a lot. I noticed they're very, very passionate. But I think in terms of like just as a one-off kind of showpiece, it was great. And going forward, even if we're not successful in getting to the group stages, I think it's a huge thing to build on, and the experiences that the players are going to get. We're just on the up, I think.
Aye, I think you're spot on in terms of that. I reckon anybody that would have went away for the game last night no wanting to go back, because it was just like a fantastic night in the end. Like it had a bit of everything. John, I'll bring you in next. What were your thoughts on it all?
I think we have to reintroduce the term thunder bastard into
Yes.
the vocabulary, because that goal was an absolute thunder bastard, and we have a centre forward who is also a thunder bastard in terms of how he plays. I mean, it was at a point in the game. I don't know how everybody else felt on the ground. I was feeling a bit flat because I thought that we had played well in the first half without really driving at it, and we'd lost two what felt like really poor goals to let them back into it, having done really hard work and it wasn't really working out for us in the second half. And you could see that there was a bit of tiring on it. And as soon as he hit it, I'm up in the east, and my head's going, that's got a chance. It's got a chance. And it just went mad. So that was the turning point in the game. We'd started well, we got kicked back. And that's why David Gray's talking about character and not performance. I mean, it's a brilliant interview by a manager, because I don't think it was a particularly good performance overall. I don't think we controlled the game well enough against 10 men, a young team who were impetuous, great individual skills on the ball, but we should have cultivated the ball more. But Josh Mulligan, I mean, in terms of all the praises, and Bowie has absolutely, quite rightly, taken a lot of the plaudits. But Josh Mulligan was there from start to finish. He's the one that's breaking out the box to get the shot away. And credit to Chris Cadden, having missed the shot in the first half, to still be in there to sort of bury it away. I thought Mulligan was the difference. A lot of the good stuff that we did was him driving us forward. Everything everybody else said about Levitt controlling the midfield, us changing when people come on. I wonder how much of it's down. I wonder how much time they're genuinely getting on the pitch at East Mains to do much work at the moment. Because I'd have thought that after last night, they'll be in today, it will just be recovery stuff. Some of the players that didn't really play might have more of a training session, but it's all going to be recovery, fluids, get ready for Sunday, playing on a plastic pitch that looks better. So that's maybe why there's so much of a difference. I mean, Manny's not coming in and getting enough time on the pitch to understand the role and how they're playing. I mean, but no, yeah, Thunder Bastard is my contribution for tonight.
We decided to get a T-shirt out to commemorate the sort of the goal, right? And so we did a design, a sort of comic book illustration of Bowie whacking the ball, and he's got a wee speech bubble coming that says "boom." And I shared it with Colin John. He says, "What do you think about that?" Colin's like, "It needs to say fucko," because that's what you're shouting when you're hitting that ball. It's like, fucko.
Yes.
So we have two versions. We have like a sort of safe for work version and a not safe for work, where he's just shouting fucko as he belts the ball in. Stephen, what did you think of the game?
I'm similar to you, and I wasn't able to go, unfortunately, so I had to make do with watching it on the TV. I think a lot of it's been covered by the guys. I thought we started off okay. I think the players certainly played up to the atmosphere, and then as they started to come into it, I think if they can keep that team together, fast forward 3 or 4 years, like us with the class of 04, I think they could be a really, really good side. They've got a lot of really good technical players. They were then buoyed by certainly the 2 goalkeeping errors. And I'll be honest, I was saying to my mate at half time, I think Jordan needs to come off, because he quite simply, I was of the opinion that if he stayed on the pitch, he was going to cost us another goal. And the way the direction of the game at the time, that probably would have put us out. But then, them being a young side, they had flashes of lunacy again, and we obviously got the man sent off down to 10 men. I think it's probably a bit of a soft booking, but we'll take it. And obviously VAR can't look at it. But then we kind of managed the game a little bit better. And if you fast forward to the goal, 94-58, I think it went in at the time he's put the ball in the net. I'm going to be bad cop here and blame Josh Mulligan for having a very, very slight drop off from following his man to the byline. But it pains me to say it, because I'm with John. He was phenomenal last night. He, for me, is now, I'd said it a few weeks ago, he is absolutely one of the first names on the team sheet. He is far excelling the expectations I had for him. He is going to go places in the football world. Other than that, to be fair, it's a nice move from them. They've actually shifted the ball really, really well, considering they've got a man disadvantage. Other than that, I thought we managed the game okay. The subs, I think, were definitely better than they were against Midtjylland at home. I think he got them right. Nicky Cadden came on, was obviously better conditioned, didn't pull his hamstring. He made an impact when he came on as well. Mana, yeah, I think Mana shows in spells how good a player is technically, and he seems quite calm and composed in the ball, but he does also have, unfortunately, in his locker to misplace a pass in probably quite a key, crucial area of the pitch. I think he had misplaced a pass right back into the middle of the pitch last night in extra time, which could have cost us. But that could all come down to he's been asked to come in to games, really, really big, important games like that, getting played at a fast, high tempo, especially last night, getting played with the expectation that we have the ball because we're playing against 10. But I think he'll benefit from potentially starting on Sunday at Livingston, getting proper minutes under his belt. But overall, Matty, I'm gutted I wasn't there, but Callum's right. The commentary from Michael Stewart. I did see a funny thing in one of the group chats today as well, that the footage of the goal should come with an age verification check, like your adult art websites are nowadays, because it is just absolute filth. It's so good. And you're right to pick up that the way he shrugs off the defender, he has I think from watching several replays, I think he has a very, very quick look to see where the goal is, but it's not, it's not a very visible look up to see where the goal is. He just knows where the goal is, and he absolutely twats it in off the post. It's an incredible goal. It really, really is.
He spins to celebrate it as soon as the ball leaves his foot as well. I mean, there's no doubt in Bowie's mind that that's gone in. It's just tremendous. John, you've got your hand up.
I would just say, as somebody who could barely keep the ball on the pitch if I tried to hit it like that, you just have to watch the warm-ups. Any professional players that we've got at this level on the pitch, they can hit that ball to where they want it. I mean, that was absolutely, he knew where he was trying to hit that when it left his foot. He'll probably hit that 3 to 5 times out of 10 and get it close to under the bar from that distance, because he's got the technique and he's good enough. And how many times do we see professional players hitting it high to each other across the pitch for 30, 40 yards, and the other one's just able to pull it down and kill it? So the skill's there. There's no luck to that.
Absolutely. Right, Chris, I'm going to come back to you because I never actually got your thoughts on the game. Just to ask you about Bowie. I'm loving your background. What I love about it is the fact that although it's a cartoon drawing, everybody knows where that is and what the relevance is. Like, tremendous. What were your thoughts on the game overall, Chris?
I think we've kind of covered a lot, but I just felt we were a wee bit we were quite passive in spells last night. Like, I really wanted us to engage them a bit higher up the pitch at some points. I just felt that we were a bit slowing down that. Like, it was one of the ones that we did start to look as if we were maybe trying to let them come on to us so we could hit them on the break. And I just felt that we started to invite a bit of pressure without them really creating many great chances, but we were starting to invite that pressure. And I just felt that we could have stepped on them a bit more, especially in the middle of the park, because we seemed to get into quite a deep shape. I just feel I really wanted us to just take 2 yards up the pitch, 2 or 3 yards up the pitch and move on to them to stop them moving the ball about so much, if I'm being brutally honest. But that's probably my only real criticism, because I didn't like to a man. Everybody works, like, they worked hard, they bounced back. Like, we could have easily crumbled with that late goal and went, here we fucking go again. It's Hibs. This is the Hibs way. Like, we could easily done that. And if you go on social media, the usual mutant accounts were hitting out with the old Hibs at pish, like, at 90 minutes, and then, like, and things like that. Players that can play on players sometimes, especially ones that have got the battle scars for previous seasons. So again, as David Gray mentions, and we've mentioned already, it's like the mentality of this squad, the people that are within it, that are turning that narrative and really going, well, actually, we have had setbacks, but we can bounce back for this. We can push on. I think one of the ones, I think Rocky's a big one, a big factor in that.
Aye.
Like, you've seen it with Smith when he went up to him, and you can tell he's basically going to him and he goes, look, forget about it. Fucking get your head in the game, basically. We're all behind you. Just go and show what you're made of. And I think he's a big thing that's turning that mentality around, within the squad.
Definitely. Cam, your hand up.
I just wanted to pick up on what Chris was saying there. What I noticed against Midtjylland and last night is they've all got players they're 10 outfield players who are all capable of taking the ball in a half turn. I found that Midtjylland didn't matter if it was a left back, the centre mid, the centre forward. They can all take the ball in a half turn. They can go left, they can go right. They're very good sides. I think Belgrade were probably affected by their own part last week, to be honest. And we've done so well to compete. We've had players that are good and are effective at what they do, but you'll never get like a Lewis Stevenson turning on his right side or whatever. And we've got like guys like Chrissy Cadden who are effective, but again, they're limited in what they can do. We've just played two sides that are out and out footballers. I think the number 4 was playing left back, centre forward, centre mid. He was all over the place. He got put clean through at one time as well. And I think, if I'm right in saying Midtjylland, I've got Crystal Palace, and I think it'll shock a few folk to see how well or how good a side they are, and especially when they're going up against a side that toe to toe with City and Liverpool in recent times.
Joe, I'm going to come to you next. I think we need to spend a wee bit of time talking about, because it was such a significant way in how the story of the tie panned out, but the two mistakes with Jordan Smith. So, Joe, tell me about his evening.
Well, obviously there were two schoolboy howlers almost, but what magnificent character he showed in the second half, and he kept us in the tie. He has 3 terrific saves. Terrific saves, and the one they touched on to the post in particular. So I think well done, David Gray, and not weakening and substituting him, because he would have been blown forever had that happened at half time. And Jordan Smith showed a lot of his own character too, bless him. So I hope we see him in the sticks on Sunday, in between the sticks on Sunday.
Okay, Ian, you got your hand up.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Stevie and I both will have seen Lewis Stevenson's comments at halftime because it was on the telly. And Lewis said David Gray's got a difficult decision to make, because the presenter was asking, would you substitute Smith? And Lewis pretty much said no. Which I think the trouble is, you never know when a goalkeeper's so shot confidence-wise that it would actually get worse. And it could well have turned the other way. So I was very impressed with the fact that David Gray made that decision. I would like to, Joe suggested he'll be on between the 6th and Sunday. I think we should actually take the opportunity to make radical changes for Sunday. And I think we should rest Smith and a number of the other players, because I think, for instance, Rocky, my own view is that bringing in Grant Hanley for the Kilmarnock game, I think disrupted our back line. So I think it was daft to do that, since Iredale was such a key player for us. So I think disrupting the back line was a mistake. But I think against Livingston, the substitutes that we've got and the players that didn't even play last night, I think we've got a very, very strong, if you like, second string. So I think it's a good opportunity to rest Smith, along with a lot of other players, so he doesn't think it's being him that's being picked on.
John, I know you've got your hand up, but Joe's waiting to come in there as well. So, Joe, I'll come to you first, and then I'll come to John.
Yeah, very quickly, I agree with what Ian said, but Hibs have got a big call to make on Sunday, because, yes, the League Cup, as it was called, is our best chance of winning a trophy, but we're never, ever going to have a better chance to go further in Europe than this. And I would rest as many of the key players as possible. And so if we get knocked out on Sunday, what the hell? I really do think that he should change as many players as possible. So I totally agree with Ian.
Okay, John. You need to come off mute, John.
Sorry, I couldn't see a position where Smith was coming off at half time, but like everybody, I'd seen 2 big mistakes. I'd seen a nervous performance with the defence against Kilmarnock, but I was really glad to see the Jordan Smith from the second half of last season emerge in the second half. Goalies live by a different set of rules. They have to, in terms of how they're going to be treated by the management team, and in terms of how they are allowed to recover from bad errors. I think it would be right to have Salinger as the cup goalie. I mean, it's done in elsewhere. I mean, it doesn't seem to me, haven't seen them both in pre-season, that there's an awful lot of difference between the two of them in terms of their standards. So if Salinger came in on Sunday, then I wouldn't see it as a big shock, and I wouldn't see it as anything against Smith. And it may just be that actually the second half, goalie coach was straight over to him at the end. It's that idea where he's got rid of a few demons in terms of the saves in the second half, particularly the one where the guy was right through and he just gets his shape right and it comes off his thigh. I mean, and goes out. I mean, it's things like that where a goalie's gone back to his basics in terms of covering angles, covering space, and the guy can't get past me. So great to him for the recovery in the second half. But yeah, like probably 3/4 of the stadium, we're doing the WTF at half time. We could be 0-0 here, and everything would feel much more comfortable.
Stephen, it's a big decision for a manager to make whether or not you don't often see a goalkeeper getting subbed off during the game, but there are occasions where it happens. I suppose the decision Gray's got to make is, does he trust Smith for the next round? Because it's one of these ones, if he makes a mistake there again, that's on the manager, isn't it? It's like, your first mistakes are on the keeper. If he keeps making them and keeps playing, we saw it with Bursic last year. But what do you think Gray will do? Do you think he'll stick by him after that second half performance?
Yeah, I'm of the view that Salinger was probably always going to play Sunday anyway. I don't see why you wouldn't. It happens. Modern day football now, it tends to be that the second choice goalkeeper tends to play in most of the cup games, the League Cup and FA Cup or Scottish Cup. So I think Salinger was always going to start on Sunday. My concern with Smith is the second half on Sunday as well was really, really poor. So if you put the second half on Sunday and the first half last night, that's 90 consecutive minutes where he's been at fault. I mean, he didn't concede anything on Sunday that you could say he could have saved. I watched the replay several times of the wonder goal on Sunday, and I don't think you could maybe say he could have been a step further back, but I don't think he's saving it. I don't want to take anything away from the laddie, but that's 90 minutes that could, if that happens on Thursday, we could be out after the first leg. I can't see us if we go over to Poland 2 or 3 goals down. I don't think there's any way we're recovering that. So I think David Gray, fair play to him and probably Samson as well. I'm sure Cadden went over and Cadden jumped into Samson's arms after he scored the second goal. So my guess is he's had an arm put around him by not just the goalkeeper coach, but probably the full squad. And it was quite funny. Somebody mentioned that Rocky had a word in his ear to keep his head in the game. It was Rocky that was putting everything on his right foot, which probably didn't help early in the second half as well. So I think it comes back to what Chris said. It's the character. Jordan's clearly bounced back, and the save that he made, I think it was it with his thigh or his foot, that the guy's got a really good shot. He's put it in the far corner. That was the save at the end onto the post was a great save, but the one with the feet, I like goalkeepers saving the ball with their feet. I just think it's if anything, it's probably harder than it is to save with your hands, because you can direct your hands a lot easier than your feet. But yeah, the character and strength that he showed in the second half, and not just the second half, but after a relatively shaky start to the second half as well, there's a number of kickouts and passes that went astray. So yeah, so to echo what Joe said, he absolutely he grew into the game, and in the end, was a big part of us getting through.
Right, Chris, you get your hand up, and then I'll come to you next after Chris.
Yeah, it was just obviously on Smith. Like, I think that we're obviously discussing, like, I don't think Gray ever replaced him as ever a serious option. I couldn't imagine him ever doing that. Like, I think we talk about mentality and togetherness within the squad, and I think if Gray had chosen that point to take Smith out of the team at half time, he's probably just buried Smith, like, for the next however many years. Like, and if you take an example of that, is like, if you remember Loris Karius in the Champions League final, he had an absolute nightmare. Like, granted, he had concussion, but that game's probably that buried him for a good 6 years. He was only just started playing like playing regularly again. So I think if Gray had chose to take him out at that point, he would have literally it would have been as well as just ripping up his contract, because I don't think he would have ever recovered for it.
Aye, it's like Jim Leighton at Man United. If for folk of an age like that, that happened, and Ferguson replaced him for an FA Cup final, and it took Leighton years to kind of get his form back. Luckily, that was with us when he did. Ian, you want to come in?
Just again, still on Smith. It's quite interesting. Again, Stephen will have noticed this because Mikey Stewart was commentating. You actually heard Mikey at one point when Hibs went to fuck something up at the back. Mikey actually went. Well, you could tell he was actually horrified at what Hibs had just done, and we were dead lucky to get out of it. And this was quite late on as well, in normal time. But it's quite interesting because the other thing that Mikey should noticed was that David Gray was yelling at Rocky. It's funny, Stephen should notice he was putting it to his wrong foot, but he was putting the ball back to Smith, and David Gray was going nuts at the defence for passing it back to Smith. And Mikey Stewart said, he said the same thing. Stop putting more pressure on him. stop it. And it's funny that Mikey Shure notices it and David Gray notices it, but the players have never occurred to them. But we've actually made, as John said there, we have made quite a few mistakes in defence, including Jordan not coming for balls in the past couple of games where he should have. And it's really straightforward. And that's, again, it's simple communication. And there must have been about five balls in the last couple of games, especially near the edge of the box, where Smith should have come for it. And clearly, Rocky and Hanley and people like that were looking for it.
Okay, let's go get a couple of comments on YouTube. So Green Tea said, absolutely knackered last night. What a night. Not taking anything away from Bowie's superb performance. But what about Mulligan? Brilliant. Glad that Smudger redeemed himself. Ara said, happy with the win, but do we need to have a serious talk about Smith? Gary said, best goal I've ever saw from Hibs after Bobby Smith's goal versus Rangers. After Smith in my lifetime, 62 now. Ronnie said, I think if we had McGrath last night, it would have been done in the 90th. I mean, that's a good point. If we'd had McGrath available, it would have been a different game, I think. And Ronnie also saying, hit like, guys. Yep, so if you're watching, please do hit the like button. Josh Mulligan, I think probably the next player on the radar to talk about. John, I'll start with you there. If you talk to me about Josh Mulligan's performance last night.
Oh, and I'm going all John McGinn on him at the moment. I mean, I'm seeing how he's playing for us, how the Judas is playing for Celtic, and how Lyle Cameron is playing for Rangers, and asking, why were Dundee so shit? Because these are three absolutely cracking players. Now, I mean, all seem to have a fabulous attitude, yet Dundee couldn't string anything together. No, he is an utter surprise to me. I mean, I hadn't really picked up on him, a Dundee player from a Dundee midfield and a team that hadn't really done anything, and I'm being so impressed. He seemed initially he came and you're thinking, oh, he's no really going, but it's pre-season, doesn't get the full game. His engine last night to keep going was brilliant. His controlling the ball is right. I mean, when you watch the equaliser or the third goal back, there's a bit of movement around the box, and he's late in following the guy into the box. And I think it's Iredale just misses cutting out the cutback. I mean, so there are parts of his game that you'll pick up on, and there'll be video clips for him. But most of his clips are going to be about how he's driving forward, how he's doing really, really well. So no, there's a bit of love here in terms of Mulligan, and I just hope he goes. And it's a transfer window where I think we're being pleasantly surprised about the quality that's actually coming forward compared to what we've been used to over the years, where we've been oversold and underdelivered.
Yeah,
this feels like the opposite.
Agreed. Joe, you get your hand up.
Yeah, can I agree about the talent of Mulligan, but I think with the current squad Hibs have got, unless we buy somebody else, I think he's best on the right-hand side of a midfield five, because Chris Cadden, for all he scored what was effectively the winner last night, has had a very poor season so far.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts on Josh Mulligan?
I think the McGinn comparisons are probably fair. I just like I always remember him at Dundee, and I thought he was a tidy player again. But you knew what he was. He's a ball carrier. I just didn't realise how effective a ball carrier he was until he's got into the squad. And like, I think people talk about his injury and that. When you actually look at the build up for the goal, their fullback was just spent, and he just looked at him and goes, "I cannot be fucked chasing you." And he literally looked at him and just stopped, which allowed him through. Obviously, he gets the shot and the deflection, and Cadden's there just to knock it in. But his engine was, "I'll keep going," whereas their defender just looked and goes, "I am bust. I cannot chase you anymore." I think teams will be really, really surprised moving forward at his energy and his will to keep going. I think we'll be lucky to keep him for a couple of seasons. I think maybe 18 months. I think teams will be really looking at, if we get into this, I could even less time actually. If we get into the Conference League, or when we get into the Conference League, we could have a lot of big teams sniffing about a lot of these players. And it's credit to the new, what I would say is the Black Knights analytics.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
I know that the analytics featured heavily in the recruitment of Mulligan and Manny and Cleege, etc. Chris, are you a wee bit surprised that we were able to pick up Mulligan?
A wee bit, aye, because like apparently he was going to Rangers, eh? Like apparently that was a done deal. And I was reading something on Twitter the day saying actually he was going, but then their new board pulled the plug in it, which is they must be sitting looking going, really? But no, I'm surprised that we managed to get him. But I think now it's a kind of thing for the young Scottish players where they're looking at levels and going, and I can go to this level, I can think about this move, it's a step up before I then go to another level sort of thing. And much like McGinn done, I know we were in the league below St Mirren when he came, but he looked at Hibs and goes, no, that's a club on the way up. It's a big club playing in front of more fans, more exposure. I can go here to take that next step. And I think Mulligan's looked at Hibs in the sort of same view and goes, I can move to Hibs and eventually I'm going to get that step up into a next level. And you see it with, again, other boys that went to Italy who've then starting to move on levels. And I think it's the days of a lot of Scottish players going to the Old Firm or down to England. We might see that change and it'll be, well, we'll take a move within the league to a bigger, higher profile club before we actually move on to somewhere else, whether that Europe or they're actually ready to go to high-end Championship, lower-end Premier League.
That's a really good point. Ian, you get your hand up and then Stephen will come to you next after Ian.
The point about John McGinn was that when John came, he was a very good player, but we improved him a lot. We developed him a lot, and that's the credit that David Gray got for last season, which was that we improved a lot of the players. And I'd like to see Josh Mulligan and others develop, especially in the case of Josh Mulligan. He's never really scored many goals. I'd like him to have a shot more like Josh Campbell does. But equally, I'd like Mulligan to be able to turn a wee bit faster, just with his first touch. He's just a wee bit slow to turn, and that's a great thing about McGinn. The way he managed to turn players was terrific. So I think we can develop Josh Mulligan while he's here. He's a terrific player now, but I still think we can turn him into somebody that's akin to John McGinn.
Somebody even better, yeah, Stephen.
Yeah, it was the point about Mulligan looking at Hibs and thinking I can get a really big positive move after it. Kieran Bowie said something quite interesting post-match when he'd said, I think he more or less acknowledged that going down to Fulham was a mistake and that he's kind of had to not so much take a step back to get too forward, but reading between the lines, he was kind of saying that he probably shouldn't have followed the glamour and the glitz and the finance to move down south, because he now probably views himself as being probably a couple of years of where he could have been. And it's great that he's identified us as that stepping stone to get back to where he should have been. So it was just to pick up an excellent point that if young players like Mulligan are viewing Hibs as, looking at John McGinn and seeing where his hard work and determination and obvious quality level got to him as well, that, I'm not stupid. I know that realistically a lot of the good players won't stay at Hibs beyond their contract potentially. So it was really just to pick up on that point, Matty, just in connection with what Bowie had said post-match as well.
Nice one. Callum, what were your thoughts on Mulligan?
I just love how he can just drive forward. It's one of those things. I was actually thinking about this earlier, like Ian just mentioned there. I'm not really fussed if he's not going to clock up a goals and assists, because you always need a player that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I know McGinn did go on to score some big goals and stuff for us, but last night, for a guy that's still reasonably young at that level, he's my favourite player this season without a doubt. The ability he's got to bounce off players and still keep the ball, that's a talent within itself. And I hope we've got him for at least 2 to 3 seasons to really see what he can be before inevitably kind of moves on.
Manny was probably the next one I wanted to touch on, because there's been a lot of chat about Manny maybe moving on or not settling. John, he came on last night, and for me, I thought he made a real effort to impact the game. He properly got involved. What did you think of Manny's performance?
I thought he was a bit too much all over the pitch. I thought when he got in places, there was a number of times I can remember where he got involved in some good passing movements, keeping the ball. But at that point, we didn't have a Levitt position, sitting in the middle of the pitch to receive the ball and distribute it the other side. That's what I felt we lost. I don't know if that came on the guys watching the telly, because when you're live at the game, he can get a bit more caught up in it. I thought he looked really, really tidy. I like his attitude, and I think he's a player that can grow with the team. I mean, I don't think he's a player that looks out of his depth. I think it is a big step up. I mean, he's come from Danish second division, and he's now playing in the final qualifying rounds of Europe. So, I mean, there's going to be a big step in standard there. But no, I thought that his touch, his movement, I think the attitude is there. I think trying to get players round about him that can play a bit more with the ball would have been better, because I felt that we just sort of lost the midfield a bit when he was on, and it's trying to work out whether it's that balance. It was just too spread.
Stephen, you had the TV view that John was referring to. What did you think of Manny's performance once he was on?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that when he came on, he very, very rarely misplaces his first pass, and he seems to grow in confidence with every pass that he does. He's very effective in the short passes as well, and I'd mentioned earlier that it was when he tried to do maybe a 20, 25-yard pass along the ground that it was probably the first mistake that he made. But you can tell from his footballing upbringing that he just remains calm on the ball. There was a segment near the home dugout where we're basically playing in triangles, trying to basically nullify the possession and the press from Partizan. And he was just so calm on the ball. Every time he picked it up, Matty, if he needed to take a touch before releasing the pass, he did it. If it was better to pass it first time, he did it. He just seems to have a very, very smart brain in his head. And I'm slightly gutted for him that with the obvious quality that he has, that because the team's been playing at such a high level, he's not had the chance to get the minutes that he probably, but from what I've read, may actually potentially help encourage him to stay, because I know there was a few rumours that he might be leaving soon. But I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of him, and I really, really hope that he stays.
Aye, same here. Callum, you get your hand up.
Aye, that bit in front of the dugout. I was at the back of the East, but I'm sure he actually megged the boy at one point, and I think we might have lost the ball, but I think he might have got fouled. But he just looked to me like you could see his quality, and I think he's just trying that wee bit too hard. There was one he tried like a wee back heel and kind of lost it. The guy's not had many minutes, and I think, as you said, Matty, when he has getting minutes, he's getting flung in to these massive games in a big kind of pressure situation. So it'd be great to see him getting a start on Sunday. But from what the Hibs Observer were kind of hinting towards is that we're no actively trying to sell him, but we seem to be listening to offers, and they're still talking us trying to bring in a starting number 6. So it's one of those ones where we just don't know if he's going to be here come the end of the window.
Aye, I thought he was unlucky with the back here. I thought Nicky Cadden was caught on his heels a wee bit with it. If he'd been a wee bit more, I don't know, match fit, I suppose he might have come off, and it would have been a good wee move. Right, we've got Livingston on Sunday. Just for the last few minutes of the phone in, we'll look ahead rather than looking back. Ian,
I just think it's the ideal opportunity to give everyone that's not getting a game a chance on Sunday. I think we should completely change the team, completely. I mean, we've got good enough players to beat Livingston twice over, and we must be able to do it. We've got to give the people a chance to do it. And it's not the most important game in the world. If we end up drawing, we could well have drawn anyway. So I think we've got to change the team completely, rest all the players that we need for the European game. As Joe said, might never get a chance for a long time of getting through. So I think we should, give everyone that hasn't had a chance to play. Sorry, can I just ask, what time is the Bairns' bedtime, Callum? What time is the Bairns' bedtime?
Whenever she tells me.
Whenever she tells you. Does she not have anything to say about the way we should play against Livingston?
Do you want to say anything about Hibs?
No? Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Block 7's youngest recruit. She's an apprentice with Block 7.
get the songs going instead. Chris, how would you approach Sunday?
I think I kind of agree with Ian. I think it's a case of bringing in a few players, getting them minutes. I think it's an ideal opportunity to give Nicky Cadden minutes, especially.
We're losing you there a wee bit, Chris. You've drifted out, so I'll ask the same question to John, and we can come back to you if the internet picks up in Armadale again.
I think the hard choice on Sunday is Bowie. If I'm honest, I would love to say start the game without him, but we're playing Livingston. They'll all be about 18'6". You know what I mean? So we'll need the height at set pieces. I think that looking at the subs that came on, I would like to think that Nicky Cadden can start ahead of Abita, because that just gives us a bit of freshness down that side. And Abita's not done anything wrong for that, but I think in a game we want to be more on the front foot. Meg was your choice at right back instead of Nicky Cadden, and I would argue that if you're going to keep him here for the season, you've got to use him. I think right back, right wing back is going to be his best position, and it'd be as good a game to bring him in. Levitt's going to be your fulcrum in the midfield. He's come off early last night, so he's going to be in there. I'd like to thought that McGrath has got over the knee bump that he had. He could start, and if he could start, you could put Manny in beside him, and we've got a really good midfield. As I say, I think the decision is Bowie, because we can put Ellie on up top, we can put Clegy on up top, we can put Hoylett on up top. But I think, as Joe pointed out, we've only got one good big one at the moment, and he probably has to start the game. I don't see him going beyond 60 though if he does start.
I reckon if Bowie stopped running for last night, he's probably still on the go. Chris, you're back with us. I would just go for the topic of whatever you were saying. We didn't really catch too much of it. So how would you approach it?
I think, as you're saying, I think John was just saying there, I'd make a few changes. Definitely Cadden coming in for Abita. Give Abita a rest and get minutes into Cadden's legs. I think Manny deserves to come in based on the performance last night, which will be a good opportunity probably to rest Mulligan, who's went through a lot of work. I think Hoylett would probably come into that 10, I would imagine. And I'd give Megwa a chance actually in that right wing back role. Based on it being Livy, and no disrespect to them, but Meg was used to playing that level of football. So it's not a massive ask for the boy to come in and perform. Like, he's used to playing that sort of level. I think the big question is what David Gray does up front. For me, it probably has to be Ellie and Clegy. We just lose the physicality. But you would hope that the cuteness, someone like Junior Hoylett can maybe get the ball and get balls into channels for them to run into. Because you know what Livingston are going to offer. They've got four big lumps at the back, so it's probably going to be one of the days where we need to get it in and balls across the deck, as opposed to balls up to four big units and expect Bowie to wrestle them. So I'd probably change maybe 6 players and keep a core within that.
We've got the boy for Young Boys as well. Is Chilwell?
He's not got his work permit yet.
Oh, is he not?
I was looking on his Instagram today, and it appeared he's been training somewhere else. He was certainly in a gym that wasn't, but certainly wasn't HTC.
We'll definitely going to play him then today. Where we get through the competition. Stephen, how would you approach it?
Yeah, I was just going to say Chris dropped off because we are sharing the one dial-up connection in Armadale at the moment. I would agree with what everybody said there. I have an absolutely inflamed passion of hatred for Livingston, so I would love us to go 1-11 as strong as possible, but I don't think that will do us any favours. The squad depth in terms of the 18 that we have, there's definitely enough capacity and quality there to make at least 5 or 6 changes. I would be inclined to change the goalkeeper, because what's the point in having Salinger if you have to bring him on and he's not played a single minute of first team competitive football. I think Meg was definitely a good shout. He will have played on quite a few plastic pitches last season in the Championship, and as Chris has said, he knows that kind of level of thuggery that Livingston might employ tactical wise. Mana, I think, definitely needs to come in. Bowie, I think, deserves a break. He really, really does. And also, on a plastic pitch, it's the first time I believe we will have played one this season. So do we really want to risk players that have played Thursday, Sunday for 4 straight weeks now? Probably not. Clegy, he deserves more than 7 or 8 minutes like he's been getting every game this season. Ellie showed last Sunday that he's still a very, very good player. I'm not too sure I would risk McGrath from the start if he is able to play. Levitt could maybe do with a rest, but you've got Man on the bench, you've got Campbell has started that could probably start again to then come out on Thursday. I would be inclined to make 5 or 6 changes, Matty.
Okay. Callum?
If you'd offered me group stage Europe, I'd take it now and no bother about Sunday. I think it was probably always a plan to play Salinger, and I hope it kind of sticks to that, because I know there'll be a narrative that Smith's getting dropped and stuff, but I think you'd like to obviously see him get his chance, and as everybody else has been saying, 5 or 6 changes, I'd be happy with that. And as long as everybody's fit and free for next Thursday.
That's a priority, right? Joe, you sort of had already intimated earlier on that you would make a lot of changes to it. So
I happily agree with what most have said, especially Ian. The League Cup, as it was, doesn't count. It doesn't matter. Not when we've got this one-off chance to do something, get into Europe proper. League Cup will come and go every year, and whilst it may be our best chance to win a trophy, on balance, this is could be our last chance because of the way that the ratios are going, etc., of getting a chance in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've really got to grasp it with both hands so that we can go to Warsaw with a chance. So I would rest as many of them as possible, especially Kieran Bowie, who's a key man, and just take our chances with what's left with the rest against Livingston.
Okay, give me a score prediction. You want to give me a score prediction, Joe? Sorry, I missed. If you don't know if you said it.
All right, sorry. I'm going to predict 1-1.
1 each. It's a cup
with Hibs
game.
Reserve team.
It's a cup game. We can't finish 1-1.
Livingston to beat us in penalties.
All right. John, you your hand up, so you make your point and then give me a score prediction.
It was just the same. I mean, go back to League Cup last year when we went up to Kelty. It was Tavares and Amos, that we were bringing in as the fillers, to try and stretch out the squad. So it's just that idea of how much business has been done over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That if we're looking at actually who we're now bringing in, they would have been head and shoulders above what was happening last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll have enough. I think 2-1 Hibs.
2-1 Hibs. I think we talked about that over the course of the back end of last season as we go into this one, is about that increasing the standard of player that kind of get in the team. Is kind of where you want to be with a squad, isn't it? It's like if you can keep nudging it up like that. Ian, what's your score prediction?
I think we should try and play Rudy. We should try and play as many players as we can. So we should give them a chance. I think we'll win 2-1. Yep, just like 2-1. John said. Yep.
Okay, Callum.
I'll take a horrible 1-0. I'd like to see Clegy get a start and a goal.
Nice one, Stephen. Score prediction for you?
Head says 6-0 because I hate Livingston and singing "Are You Sneaking Out" to the 14 fans that'll be in the home end. But I think maybe a very, very squeaky bum 2-1.
Did you see on social media they put the advertised tickets available for the Celtic game, but the picture they used was just a pillar. It was like the restricted view. It was like tickets on sale now for the Celtic, but I think the Celtic supporters liaison says there's parking available. It was like one parking space for a car as well. Decent for the pair of them. Chris, last word to you. What's the score going to be?
I think we will take a 3-1 win, and we'll be the only team in Edinburgh in the League Cup come the end of the weekend.
Oh, good shout, by the way. As McInnes talked about, I saw a headline. I never read the article, but he said he wanted the players to imagine themselves lifting the trophy. Is it? They're going to have to fucking about it. It's not like they can watch any footage yet, is it? Like they've never won it in about 70 years or something. So they need to have good imaginations for it. Right, that's us. We'll be back on Sunday with Longbangers. I think it'll just be me and John, because I think Colin's otherwise engaged for this one. He's got what we always say is dysentery. So he's got advanced dysentery. He'll be off with that. So please do join us and get your comments on YouTube. Watch out for the tweet for the talking points. We'll cover them all. We've got a 7-day free trial on our Patreon as well. If you want to test out becoming a subscriber, then feel free to check. And visit our Redbubble shop, because we've got some cracking Kieran Bowie designs that have just gone up today. Right, thanks for tuning in. Guys, thanks very much for coming on and giving up your time on a Friday night. It's been brilliant talking to you.